I wasn't supposed to say anything before the show, but now I find myself at the front of an audience. I don't know how I made my way here. I will say this. Hello, North America. And I will also say this too. It's a trigger warning for the language that is used in this film. And there is a particular word in North America that has a reaction, a visceral reaction here that doesn't have the same reaction in other parts of the world. I would like to talk on behalf of me as a people. And I will tell you this, I just want to qualify with this, right? So 9 million Irish people, 22 million Australian people, 90 million English people, British people, all don't have a problem with the word that rhymes with hunt. Hold on. So, you know, and like I say, I know it has a visceral response here in particular. So, on behalf of me as a people, I would like you to suspend your bigotry towards this word, because it's going to feature in this film a lot. And not only that, just stop being a bunch of cunts about it.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jazz Tankay, Senior Artist and Senator of Variety. How amazing is Better Man, right? Look at this house. I am so excited to be here tonight. Better Man is so much fun. It's such a great story, and it's so emotional. And let me introduce our incredible panel tonight. Please give it up as we welcome editor Jeff Groth, cinematographer Erik Wilson, supervising sound editor Warren Hendriks, music supervisor Jordan Carroll, writer and director Michael Gracey, and please give it up for the man himself, Mr. Robbie Williams. Robbie, look at that standing ovation for you. How does it feel?
It feels absolutely incredible. I am loving every moment of it. And yeah, in all the narcissistic ways possible. But like, this is like the 9th time I've seen it. And tonight, you know, because it's always been my film. And tonight I just watched it as Michael Gracey's film. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Michael Gracey, the guy he is absolutely phenomenal and a manipulative bastard. Look what it made everybody do. It's unbelievable. I'm very, very happy, and I'm so pleased that you come to see our film.
Yes.
Now.
Michael, I'm curious because this story, you know, I've tried telling people, like, just go and watch Better Man. We'll talk about the you know, the monkey of it all afterwards. But where did this begin for you?
I mean, this all began because famously Rob helped me out to get The Greatest Showman made, and that was a big deal for me. And then we just started hanging out as friends, and he would tell stories, and I just thought, not only were the stories really engaging, but the way he told them was really special. Like in the way that he performs, in the way that he does everything. He's very articulate and he's very charismatic. I hate saying all this stuff in front of him, by the way.
But if you must, don't let me stop you.
And so I asked if I could just do a recording of him telling his life story. And at the time, it wasn't really the intention to make a film. I just, being a filmmaker, you love capturing great stories. And the idea was to just capture it literally as an audio recording. So that's what we did over the course of about a year and a half. We just sat in front of the microphone and just talked about his life. And that's what formed the basis of the first script that I worked on with Simon Gleeson and Oliver Cole back in Australia. And those voiceovers you hear are from those original recordings. So, yeah, so, but this is actually the first time that we've actually sat with the people who made the film with us, so we're just crazy excited.
I don't even know they are.
Yeah. So, we should talk about these people because they're the reason the film is so amazing.
I mean, like,
No, really, they are the reason that life looks incredible.
I mean, like, I want to talk about I came in and I saw Angels, and that is such a beautiful moment. The cinematography for that sequence. Why don't you talk about that?
Pick out of the bearded men the cinematographer. Erik.
Hello.
Hi, Erik.
Hello. Yes.
Yeah, talk about.
Come on, Erik. Talk about how brilliant your cinematography is in this film. So, just to give you a little bit. It was a very difficult role as finding a cinematographer because I had an idea that I wanted this to feel British and sort of indie and handheld and observed and very present, not sort of, sitting back on cranes and dollies. And so I needed someone who was a great operator and could just find those moments as they were happening. And then I needed someone with experience shooting a digital character, which there are not many people with that combination. Erik has shot these beautiful films, many beautiful films, but one that I just adore is a little British film called Submarine. And I love the look of it, I love the feel of it. And he's also shot the Paddington films. So that's a wild combination of these tiny little indies plus shooting a very famous digital character. So that is Erik. I didn't mean to step on your question, Erik. Please tell us about why you are so brilliant.
Thank you very much. It's very easy to be brilliant in the presence of Michael Gracey because he surrounds himself with the most wonderful teams and lets you do what you want to do without too much kind of, he's not telling you, this, we want that. He kind of creates an environment where everyone gets to fill in and everyone gets to have ideas and everyone gets to explore, and he'll openly discuss with everyone what is the good parts and what are the bad parts of this. Let's take the good parts, keep those, and then let's further develop and explore the bad bits so we can make it fantastic. And that was my experience with you, Michael.
That's wonderful. I was just told become the moderator.
Yeah,
that's wonderful. Right? Now let's cross to. Well, you can do it.
No, I mean, you're just excited to be here with a team of artisans.
I actually really am. Like, it's proper exciting. I love these people, and I think as a director, you get a lot of credit for other people's work, and everyone here. I'll just give you a really quick glimpse so you understand who is sitting up here. So Jeff edited on the film, but he's also edited Joker and is just a crazy talented editor. And the sequence was written. The sequence is written for Angels, and I bring this back to your question, which is incredibly shot. But what makes it so moving is courtesy of what Jeff did, because as written, Nan doesn't appear in the number Angels. The bath scene at the start of the film used to be much longer, and she used to tell a whole story about King Arthur, and that was at the start of the film. And so that bath sequence was much longer. And when Jeff saw the film, he took that sequence and he cut it in half, and he took the Arthur story and he interwove it with the musical number Angels, because he felt it had been too long since we'd seen Nan. And so to see Nan after you hear about her death and you intercut that story being told during the funeral sequence is heartbreaking. But none of that was in the script. That is courtesy to the gentleman on my left. And that was one of many, many things he did like that in the film. And that's why they always say editing is the final draft of the script. It really is. And it is a thrill as a director to sit and watch your work get elevated in that way. We sang enough praise for now about Erik. But he is a remarkable man. And if anyone is aware of the sort of constraints that are usually placed on you when you're shooting digital characters, those constraints did not exist in this film. And that is also courtesy of the team at Weta, who allowed us to be so bold in our choices of vintage lenses with the digital character. And Warren is also here, and he's from Pacific Standard Sound. And something that I was bitterly disappointed as a filmmaker with my lack of experience in sound on Showman. I think the sound in Showman falls so far short of what it could have been. But it was my first film and I was juggling many things and I just really dropped the ball on sound. And I was determined not to do it this time. And the entire team at Pacific Standard Sound, which is Warren and Will and Luke and Andy, all of them just did, like that is, sound-wise, this film is so dynamic, it is so lavish. The Atmos mix is just, it's so additive to the story. Like when you go into his head, you hear it in a totally different space to where you do the rest of the sound. There is the most detailed work that they all did. And I'm going to shut up so he can talk about it. And lastly, this is Jordan Carroll, who was responsible for all the music production and music supervision, which on a film like this is Thank you.
Well, I mean, the soundtrack, the needle drops that you use in this, I mean, you know, Robbie, if you know Robbie's career, he's got an incredible, you know, music catalog. How did you decide what would be, you know, the key numbers that you needed to tell the story of a Better Man?
I can't take a ton of credit for that part, to be honest. I have to hand a lot of that to Simon Gleason, the writer, who did a wonderful job. I think the very difficult part of telling music-driven stories is that you don't want the songs to feel like they were sort of horseshoed into every single scene. They need to feel like they're organically part of the storytelling and the narrative timeline. And Simon did that wonderfully, and with Michael as well, of course. But I think at a certain point, the handoff became, how does every needle drop thread with score, thread with all of the diegetic on camera musical numbers versus the big sort of she's the one and angels where you're going into his head, and then how does that weave in with sound and all of the many pieces of that and the voiceover and the dialogue, and sort of knowing or trying to know when to get out of the way and when to let the music sing. And at the end of the day, we were blessed with an incredible catalog of music to work with. So, I mean, yeah.
Talk about that, Warren, because you know the sound in this, you know, to Michael's point, is so incredible. And as Jordan said, you know, 1 minute we're inside, you know, Robbie's mind, and then talk about putting that all together so seamlessly too.
Yeah, I think it all still comes back to Robbie's stories in his narration and his music, and we had to make sure that what we were adding with the sound was adding to the narrative that he would say, and then, you know, the anxiety voices in those times were a big part of that, you know, trying to figure out how to focus something that's so grand in a big musical song moment, down to the internal struggle that he's having in those moments as well, while not taking you out of the film and not taking you out of the music and working it into that. Yeah, it's just stuff like that, and then timing everything to rock DJ, you know, Jordan and I had a lot of battles over that. I wanted to make the movie a lot more about sound effects, and she kept not letting me.
They were healthy battles.
But it was a lot of fun. It's an amazing film. It's an honor to be a part of it, for sure.
Amazing. Robbie, can we talk about you working with Jomo Davis?
Can I just say I feel as though I'm listening to a podcast on a subject that I'm fascinated with. Really, I'm learning so much. Thank you, guys. I get it when women listen to those real murder mysteries. They can really get into it. I get it. I totally get it. I'm fascinated with this whole thing. It's brilliant. Which one was your favourite song? Sorry, go on.
Can we talk about you working with Jomo Davis, who plays you in the film?
Yeah.
And like the conversations that you had with him. He's phenomenal. Can we give it up for
Absolutely
Jomo?
amazing. Awesome. Okay, so Jono, I found out yesterday, and I may have been told this before, but I'd forgotten. The first gig he ever went to was Robbie Williams, Nebworth. Yeah. And before starting the film, he sent me a video of him singing karaoke 18 months before he got the role, and he was singing Robbie Williams. And I think he's of an age where I was that particular person in that particular moment that was the pop star of the time that he went around emulating when he was being a pop star or thinking he was a pop star in his head. And by the time he got to the movie, he didn't need me, he didn't need me to teach him the nuances of, he does a better job of me than me. And also he's got the most amazing arse. And that's how I want to be remembered. But for real though, because my torso is kind of longer than the bottom bit. My bottom bit's not as good as my top bit. If you see me later, don't study it. Just take it. I'm sat down, so, But he has, and he's sexy, and he moves so well, and he dances better than me, and I think the monkey should have its own career, and that's how I will be memorialised as this incredible, fantastic thing. Yeah.
Love it. He is so incredible. Talk about the transformation process and working with Weta a little bit.
Weta, the team at Weta, this became such a passion piece for them. Internally, the top supervisors can access every project that's going on in the building, and every supervisor at Weta used to log into this project and just watch it, but they can only watch one clip at a time because it's a VFX company, and some of them would literally line up and watch one clip at a time of the entire film because they just got sucked into the sort of rabbit hole and just wanted to watch the next one and then the next one. And as a company, it became this buzz, like, who's working on Better Man? And they actually opened a new office in Melbourne, Australia to do this film so that they could lean into the tax rebates. This film would never have been made if it wasn't for Screen Victoria and Vic Screen and Screen Australia. Like, the support we got in making a film, because making a film of this scale independently is not advisable. It's very difficult. But Weta just backed it from script stage, and they just did the most incredible job. And they all fell in love with Jono's performance. And so they really honoured his performance. And I think that's really important too, because as an actor on scene, even with the dots on his face and a grey wetsuit, he would give these performances that would literally just bring the entire set to a standstill. Like, you could hear a pin drop. And a lot of the sound ideas came from that. There was just moments where he would do something and, you're in a huge sound stage and it would just go quiet. And they were literally moments in the film where I was like, I just want to take all the sound out of the room, just like it was when we shot that. So, like, it just, Jono's performance drove the tempo and the energy of the film in a way that just dictated everything. And all the artists, when Jono went down to New Zealand to do some additional motion capture, it was like being there with Rob. It was like they were losing their minds. It was like being there with a rock star. It was so fantastic.
The rock DJ sequence is truly one of the best sequences on film this year. Shutting down. not many people get to shut down Piccadilly Circus, but you did, but the sequence almost didn't happen. Who wants to tell the story of how it almost, the Queen almost stopped it from happening?
Right, not intentionally, I think. I don't think she had.
Well, if it was, what a way to go.
Yeah, that's a good out. But we, you know, obviously it's tricky to film in Regent Street, and we've been rehearsing it for a week with a full crew, and we planned it for months. I don't know how long you've been trying to get the permissions.
It was a year and a half.
And there you go. So it's been, you know, and I had many sleepless nights trying to plan it and make sure we could do it in the 4 nights we had. And we had a big crew and all the cranes and all the dancers and everything together, rehearsed in the soundstage, everything taped out, calling down. Someone was there measuring, is it really 5 foot? Yes, we can fit through, blah, blah, blah. And by the time we've rehearsed and we knew we could do it, it was a Friday night, we're going to film on Sunday. And then our lovely producer Dan gets a phone call and sees the news that the Queen has sadly passed. And we can't film.
Which was weird of Charles to call you though, wasn't it?
It was.
So I got a lot on at the time as well. But that's our king.
It was 10 days of mourning, and then they had to plan for the funeral, and then they had to do the coronation. So we weren't allowed back onto Regent Street for another 5 months, and there's no insurance for the death of the Queen, and so we lost all the money. And being an independent film, we didn't have a studio just to write a check, so we had to go and raise the money again. And 5 months later, we got back on and shot what you saw on screen. But for 5 months, we had producers going, "Do you really need this sequence?" And I was going, "Yeah, we really need this sequence." So it delayed the delivery of the film by 5 months, which means that then you're having conversations with a bond company and a bank, and if anyone's dealt with bonds and banks, it becomes really unfun really quickly. So yeah, every time that number plays, I just smile because I think no one has any idea how close that came to not happening.
Well played, buddy.
Ladies and gentlemen. Did you tell Robbie, like, how involved were you in the process? Did you be like, we might lose Rock DJ?
No, you don't want to trouble people with that bit of the news. He would call out and be going, "It's going great."
First I've heard, to be honest.
No, I mean during the actual production, there's so many ups and downs, and you've got to, you know, it's really interesting. I always say, you know, as a director, it doesn't matter what drama is going on, and everyone can lose faith, and everyone will lose faith. You've got to accept that as a director. Every single person involved in a production is going to lose faith, and you are the only one who can't. Because the moment you lose faith, it's gone. It's over. And so, you know, that was just one of those times where, you know, for 5 months, you just had to keep saying, no, we're doing this. And yeah, it was incredibly difficult. But the whole film was difficult, and I was very fortunate to be surrounded by people like this, who, you know, just make the impossible happen.
Film was, you should have lived the fucking life. Jesus.
Jeff, I want to come back to you on editing the sequence. What was the toughest sequence for you to edit?
I actually represent one of 5 editors on the film, so I came in at a point right before the Regent Street sequence was actually shot, and Michael and I went through the film, which had already been assembled by that point. We spent about 3 months going through the film from beginning to end, really looking at story and emotion. And then I came back a year later after, so when I first worked on the movie, there was no monkey. It was just Jono in a gray suit. And then when I came back a year later, I got to see the monkey and all his hairstyles. And then Michael said, can you come back and finish, basically, like, now that we've got all this, the visual effects work, come back and finish it. And so then what I was doing in the second time around was really kind of expanding the role of the monkey. It's like we've got all these visual effects shots and the monkey works so well that then it was kind of my job to lean into that.
And that was super helpful having those fresh eyes, you know, because we were all just looking at this. So Jeff would go away and then he'd come back and be like, this is how you should look at it. And to me, that was such a huge blessing. It was so wonderful to just have someone with that outside perspective.
My favorite moment while working on it was the weekend that I spent listening to all the tapes that the two of you recorded, as I was just thinking about shoring up what we had in the voiceover and what scenes could, just listening to everything and going, okay, maybe.
Your favourite bit was me talking. There you go. Could have been a much cheaper movie, couldn't it?
There's a couple more movies in there too.
Oh yeah. He heard your gun story, the Desert Eagle story.
Yeah. There was a contract
You don't need to tell it. You don't need to tell it.
Okay.
Well, you started now.
No.
Better Man 2. The chamomile years.
You said you've seen it 8 times, but take us back to the first time seeing the film.
Yeah, the first time sitting down and it starting, you know, there's so much wrapped up in this for me to facilitate the third act of my career. And also, when you're taking such a huge swing, I've taken huge swings before and they failed and they've crushed me and they've taken me a long time to come back from. I'm 50 now, got 4 kids, I've been with my wife for 18 years. I'm in a much more solid place, but in the past, I've been defeated and had existential crises and delved into addiction and alcoholism, as you can see, for many, many reasons. But when this film was muted and, you know, the budget was the budget, it was like, Jesus, really? Do they know? And then, you know, and then you get all of these people, you know, the Paddington and the Joker, and all I was in was fucking Take That. You know? So you've got this huge behemoth, is that the right word, coming over the hill going, this could break you if it goes wrong, you know. So I just sat and watched. The first watching of it was in panic mode, that we'd got something that was good. And then not only was it great, it surpassed my expectation and further. So that was the first watch. And then there have been other watches where I've been in rooms and started to cry and then thought I was never going to stop crying. And I wondered which me was going to be here tonight. And it's the me that is incensed on taking all of this in, which is why as everybody's talking, I'm listening, but I'm looking at absolutely every face in the audience, because the first time around with my career, I didn't derive any joy from it because I was mentally ill. And I was mentally ill for a very long time. Agoraphobia, depression, anxiety, all of the addictions, everything that I like to diagnose people with at dinner parties. They don't know that's happening. If you're ever at a dinner party with me and I go quiet, I'm giving you a mental illness. So yes. So what was it? What was it like, and what is it like? Changes from room to room. How jet lagged I am. How happy I am. Where I am in that moment where I just go, okay, take all of this in because it's not going to happen again.
Let me tell you, I know that there are some Take That fans, Robbie fans in this audience tonight, for sure.
2, 1, 2, yeah. 3.
No, whatever it is, I know it.
Very lonely for a North American Robbie fan. I know her. I know her really well. I put her kids through college. Not even mine.
But to that, I mean, this is a testament to, Michael's filmmaking, is that this is such a great story, because the American audience who doesn't know Robbie's film can enjoy it as a musical, and then they're going to go away and go on Spotify and look at all your music. and then to the fans, it's a beautiful, story, that you've shared. What has that been like for you, Michael, to just bring this out into the world and make something so accessible?
I think the American audience excites me because they meet it like an original musical, kind of like they did with Showman. And so they get to watch it and just hear all this music for the first time. And that is for them will be their definition of the songs. They'll give it a context and they will always have those scenes in their head when they hear the songs. And then outside of America, it's different. You're giving songs that people know a new context. So it's kind of like Moulin Rouge, where people know the songs, but you're sort of reinventing them with a new narrative. And so it's two very different watchings of the film. But for me, it's very exciting that there's two very distinctly different audiences.
Yeah, Robbie, what is that like for you to take the film to like the UK or Australia, where people know your career and
I haven't yet.
Oh, you haven't?
No, I haven't. I'm just doing the Press the Flesh tour and the promo and the countless interviews, but I'm doing it from a fresh angle. I feel like a brand new artist that's just been signed and coming to, actually, thank you. Yeah. And it's wonderful to feel such gratitude and to transcend the cynicism that I used to have. So I'm just, I'm coming over going, look at me, I can do this thing. You're gonna like this thing I do. Here's a surprise for you, I'm fucking really famous everywhere else. Do you know what I mean?
I love that little. So are you feeling inspired to create, is this getting your creative juices flowing and you like writing?
Yeah, always. I don't stop. I'm writing, I'm making art. I've got 3 exhibitions with my art at the minute. I'm building hotels. I want to build a university of entertainment, and this is part of that sort of universe where the creativity exists. It's very funny. I realised that when you were extolling about how great the Regent Street scene was, I smiled at you like I'd shot it. I was just like, yeah, nothing to do with me at all. But yeah, I've got so much on, so much I want to do, so much I want to achieve, so many places I want to go. I'm still super ambitious. I'm still super needy, but in a good place now. It's not driving the car. It's there is a semi-grown-up driving the car these days. The lunatic is still in the back. I've got so much I want to do, so much I want to achieve.
Okay, for it. I want to congratulate everything, Better Man, and Michael, thank you for bringing us to screen, and Robbie, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you everybody for coming out. Spread the word, Better Man opens in December.